You open your eyes to the dim glow of the morning sun struggling to pierce through the choking smoke. The air tastes like iron and ash, as it always has, and the distant clamour of industry hums through the steel walls of your hab block. You were born here, in the lower levels of this sprawling city on the planet of Krieg, where life is just grey, unforgiving and polluted. Your first memories are of labour. Your hands are raw from scrubbing machinery that would grind to a halt without your effort. Your lungs burn from acid fumes that hang heavy in every corridor. But you never complained. No one here does. Complaints are a waste of breath in this place, where duty is survival, and survival is fleeting. When the recruiters came, you were ready. They didn't ask for volunteers and never need to. You and every other soul in this forgotten sector of the Imperium knew it was your fate to join the millitarum. Your family watched in silence as you boarded the rusting transport. There were no tears, no goodbyes, just a shared understanding. You belong to the Emperor now. The journey to the training barracks was a blur of cramped steel corridors, shouted orders, and endless inspections. By the time you stepped off the transport, your old life had already begun to fade. Here, on the frozen wasteland of the planet, your days became an unrelenting cycle of drills, conditioning, and indoctrination. Commissar's speeches echoed in your mind through words burrowing into the core of who they were. You are nothing. The Emperor is everything. Through your sacrifice, humanity endures. You embraced it. You had to. Doubt is death in the millitarum. The day your regiment was deployed was cold and grey, like every other day on Krieg. You were loaded into a Valkyrie alongside your squad mates, each of you encased in rigid confines of your flak armour. Your last gun felt foreign in your hands, its weight a constant reminder of what was to come, as the engines roared to life, drowning out all other sound. You stole a glance at a soldier seated across you. His eyes were as empty as you felt. The first time you set foot on the battlefield, it was a barren world of ash and ruin. The skies were painted with fiery cocktails of dropships. The thunder of artillery rolled across the horizon. You had been briefed. Of course, Chaos forces had entrenched themselves here, and it was your regiment to dislodge them, to purge this world in the name of the God Emperor. But no briefing could prepare you for the reality of war. You remember the sound first. The piercing shriek of incoming shells, the staccato cracks of lasgun fire, and the inhumane howls of things that should not exist. You remember the ground shaking beneath your boots, the acid trains of the ozone energy weapons discharge all around you. You remember the faces of your squad mates, locked in expressions of grim determination, fear, or cold acceptance. And you remember the smell. The sickly, sweet stench of charred flesh from the metallic tang of blood. When the order came to charge, you didn't think, you couldn't, your legs carried you forward, and your last gun spat out beams of red into the smoke. Around you, soldiers fell, some screaming, some silent, but you pressed on. You didn't know if your shots hit their mark. You didn't care. All that mattered was moving forward, one step at a time towards the enemy. The enemy. You'd been told they were heretics, traitors to the Emperor, but the creatures you faced were something else entirely. Twisted, hulking forms with too many limbs and eyes that burned with unholy fire. Their voices a cacophony of madness, each word a knife in your mind. You fired your last gun until it overheated, and then you charged with your bayonet. You screamed and you plunged it into the flesh of the chaos spawn, the blade sinking deep into the unnatural hide. Its blood hissed as it scattered from your armour, and its dying breath was a gurgling laugh. When the battle finally ended, you were alive. That was all that mattered. Around you, the ground was littered with the dead, Imperial and heretic alike. Your hand shook as you reloaded your weapon, the weight of what you had just survived pressing down on you like a physical force. But there was no time to dwell on it. The Commissar's voice rang out, commanding you to regroup and prepare for the next engagement. There was always a next engagement. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The battles blurred together in a haze of blood, smoke and fire. You learned to follow orders without hesitation. You pushed your body beyond the limits, to kill without remorse. You watched your friends die, their names lost to endless tides of war. You felt humanity slipping away, replaced by a cold, unyielding devotion to the Emperor. And yet, in the quiet moments between battles, you couldn't help but wonder if you even knew what existence meant. Did the master of mankind, seated upon his golden throne, spare a thought for the countless millions who fought and died in his name? Did your sacrifice matter? Or were you just another expendable pawn in an unending war? You pushed those thoughts aside. They were dangerous. They were heretical. Instead, you focused on the mission, on your duty. You were an Imperial Guardsman, a soldier of the millitarum. You were nothing. The Emperor was everything. One day, while entrenched in seemingly endless siege, you shared a moment of respite with your squad, huddled around a lamp pack, exchanged hollow laughter and stories, half-remembered fragments of your lives that you left behind. One soldier spoke of a family farm on a distant agri-world, another of a sweetheart they would never see again. You listened, but offered nothing. You couldn't remember anything worth sharing. Then came the mission that changed everything. Your regiment was tasked with holding down a critical choke point against the Chaos forces. For hours you fought tooth and nail, your last gun growing hot in your hands, your body numb from exhaustion. When the enemy finally broke through, you were ordered to fall back. But as you turned to retreat, you saw it. A commissar standing firm, his power sword raised high, bellowing a hum to the Emperor as the enemy closed in. Something inside you snapped. You turned back, raising your last gun, charging into the fray. Others followed, inspired, or simply too afraid to disobey. Together you pushed the enemy back, step by bloody step. When it was over, the commissar was dead, his body a broken husk. But the line had held. You were hailed as heroes, but the victory felt hollow. The cost had been too high. As the years wore on, you became a veteran. Your armor scarred and your eyes hardened. New recruits looked at you for guidance. Their faces aligned with the naive hope that you once had. You taught them what you could, how to aim true, how to dig proper trenches, how to survive, but how could you teach them how to keep their souls intact? You weren't sure you even had one anymore. And then, one day, it ended. The details didn't matter. Another battle on another forsaken world. You fought as you always had, with every ounce of strength you could muster, but this time it wasn't enough. A stray bullet found its mark, and you fell. The darkness closed in. You felt no fear, no regret, only a strange, hollow relief. You had done your duty. You were nothing. The Emperor was everything. That was kind of fun. If you like this, I'm trying to do Warhammer lore just a little bit differently, a little bit fun, because I feel like there's some stuff missing in the space. Hit a like and subscribe. I've also released some merch, which is a little different. Those links are in the description, and I'm giving away thumbnails to my channel members, and I think that's probably everything. I want to continue to do odd or wacky or different type of Warhammer lore. I'm no expert. I'm reading as I'm going. I'm enjoying as I'm going, and learning as I'm going. But hey, that's what the whole point is. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.